Hello, everyone. I'm your TA, Jonathan Sochaczevski. I'm the TA for Econ 2A and Econ 10A, and I'm here today to talk to you about the bothersome part of the price elasticity of demand. If I can click the right button. The bothersome part of price elasticity of demand is that elasticity is negative. Economists and our textbooks will usually drop that negative sign for their own answers because it's convenient. It's easy to just not put it in the negative sign. So, to make up for that, in this class, we will accept answers both with and without the negative sign, so don't stress too much. Just do what you got to. Now, by dropping the negative sign, what we're really doing is we're taking the absolute value of elasticity. And now a quick refresher on absolute value. The absolute value is a function that takes any number and returns a positive number. The absolute value function looks like this. Right over here, we have x inside of these two straight brackets. That means that whatever the value of x is, we're going to give it a positive number as the answer. So here we got examples, -2 in the brackets, you get 2, 5, 5 in the brackets, you still get 5. -2 times 5, what you're first going to do is do the math. You do -2 times 5, and then you take the positive. Obviously, it's not important for this little thing. For this example, -2 times 5, if you took it before, you'd still get 10 positive. But with more complicated functions, you will have to do all the math first and then make it positive. Now, quick things on elasticity. If your elasticity is more than 1, the absolute value of elasticity is more than 1. And really quick, this is like the fancy E for elasticity. So you don't need to write elasticity every time. You just make this little fancy E. So if your fancy little E elasticity, the absolute value of that is more than 1, then your demand is elastic. And therefore, the quantity is very receptive to a change in price. This is because the percentage change in quantity is larger than the percentage change in price. Now over here, you can look where it says elastic region on this graph. You've got two dots, A and B. Dot A, you're at 0.8 and a quantity of 40. Dot B is at 0.7 price and a quantity of 60. So if you look at the change there, you're looking at price change of 0.8 to 0.7, which is a 1/8 change in price, or about 12.5%. Meanwhile, the change in quantity is 40 to 60, so that's a 50% increase, or 1.5 times increase. So 50% increase. You got 50% increase in 50% change in quantity, and a 12.5% change in price. Therefore, your demand is elastic in this region. If your elasticity, your fancy little E absolute value, is less than 1, then your demand is inelastic. Therefore, the quantity is not very receptive to a change in price. And really quick, for the people that are paying attention, if the absolute value of your elasticity is less than 1, it's also always going to be greater than 0. Kind of how it goes. You can't have, you're not going to, if it would be negative, then it would wind up going to the absolute value function and then becoming positive. So you're going to have an absolute value between 0 and 1 on that elasticity. So it would be inelastic if it's inelastic, the quantity is not very receptive to a change in price because the percentage change in price is larger than the percentage change in quantity. Now, again, we're going to look at this graph. You see the inelastic region. You got dots E, dot F. E is at a price of 0.3, quantity of 140 units. Dot F is at a price of 20.2 and a quantity of 160 units. So you have a drop from 0.3 to 0.2 in price. That is 33%, 1/3. That's your change. Your percentage change is 33%. And you have a change in quantity from 140 to 160. That's 1/7, or about 14.3%, I believe. Now, 33%, larger than 14.3%. Your percent change in price is larger than your percent change in quantity. This region is inelastic. Now we're going to talk about some ways you can classify elasticity depending on how the value of it. So if you've got the absolute value of your elasticity is infinite, then your demand is perfectly elastic. The quantity demanded is infinitely responsive to a price. If the price goes up, no one's going to buy it. If the price drops, everyone is going to buy it. It's this is a mostly theoretical example. There's not a lot of real world examples of this. If your elasticity is more than 1, the absolute value of elasticity is more than 1, then as we said before, your demand is elastic. The quantity demanded is relatively responsive to price. Over here, we got an example of that right here. Boom, boom. If your elasticity is equal to 1, then demand is unit elastic. The quantity demanded is directly responsive to price. A 1-to-1 change from price to quantity demanded. And if your the absolute value of elasticity is between 0 and 1, then your demand is inelastic. The quantity demanded is not very responsive to price. Over here, we have another example. You see how the quantity doesn't change very much, even though the price drops a lot. That's inelastic. If your I don't know why it says if twice, but if your elasticity is equal to 0, then demand is perfectly inelastic. The quantity demanded is unchanged for any change in price. Say there was only one car insurance brand. Only one company could supply you car insurance where you live, and you're mandated by the government to buy car insurance. They can charge you whatever they want, and you will have to pay it. And so it doesn't matter how much they charge. Your quantity demanded will be the same no matter the price. Over here, you got that vertical line to reflect that. Thank you. That's all we got today. I hope you learned something.